Patricia, what's taking you so long? I hope you know that the deposit for the class graduation trip is due tomorrow. Otherwise, you'll have to pay a fine for the delayed payment. What are you talking about, Nicole? I already made that payment when the initial request was made. Well, let me be clearer then. What you paid is nowhere near enough. So I'm saying that you need to make an additional payment, okay? Your deposit hardly adds up to anything. I don't understand what you're trying to say. I thought the payment was going towards the deposit for the class trip. What do you mean that it hardly adds up to anything? Regardless, I've already paid the estimated deposit that was on the notice. Oh, you're talking about that payment. That's already been used up. What do you mean by that? That money is already gone, so can you just let it go already? And if you don't want to make the additional payment this time, can you pay the deposit for the next trip then? This is ridiculous. None of this even makes any sense. If you're not going to pay right away, I might have to charge you a late fee for making me wait. I hope you'll agree to make the additional payment. Otherwise, we don't have enough to cover the full deposit amount. And that'll be a huge disappointment for everyone. I'm just really confused. You never even explained what you used the money for. You used the money you collected from us for personal reasons, and without our permission? Yeah, so what? Are you accusing me of something? I can't believe that you had the nerve to use money that doesn't even belong to you. That was supposed to be a collective payment for our class trip. Everyone contributed equally, so you had no right to use it personally. It's really amazing that you find nothing wrong with what you've done. Oh, thank you. It wasn't meant as praise. How can you keep up such a defiant attitude in these circumstances? Don't try to make it seem like it's all my fault. You all decided that I should be the one to handle all the money, so it's partly your responsibility as well, for leaving me with that burden. What are you talking about? You were the one who volunteered to manage the money for this trip. No one forced you to take that position, but you should at least fulfill your duties of handling the money honestly. I have no idea what you're talking about. By the way, I gambled away all of the deposit money, just so you know. I was feeling lucky, so I thought I was going to win big. I can't believe that you'd brag about that. It's nothing to be proud of. You thought you were going to win, so you decided to use our contribution for the class trip so you can bet on some cards? And you didn't think that you were doing anything wrong? Yep, because I was 100% sure that I was going to win. And think about it. If I had won, we would have had more money to use towards our trip. And with the bigger budget, we would have been able to upgrade to a better trip. That's not the point I'm trying to make. That money was collected to pay for our class graduation trip, right? What gives you the right to use it for your personal hobbies? First of all, you all know that I have a gambling habit. So why would you even leave the responsibility to handle all that money to me? You're partly to blame for not thinking things through beforehand. Did you really think that I could hold on to all that money untouched? Anyways, the money's all gone now, so we'll just have to cancel the trip this time. Let's try and plan something again next time. Wait, one of our mom friends just told me that she spotted you playing slots again today. But I hope that she was just mistaken, because who's watching your kids? Are they okay? You said that your husband lives out of state because of his work, right? Don't tell me that you left your kids at home just so you can go gambling. What kind of a mother does that? Oh, my kids are fine. That's nothing for you to worry about. The old hag always wants to take care of my kids, so I'm letting her watch them. Old hag. I'm talking about their grandmother, my in-laws. Since their son isn't around to help with the kids, they said they want to pitch in whenever they can. So I let them babysit the kids from time to time so that I can get away like this. But they don't have a problem with you leaving the kids with them so frequently, just so you can go gambling? Are you crazy? Of course I don't tell them that I go gambling. I promised my husband ages ago that I'll never go near the slot machines ever again. What? So you're lying to your in-laws whenever you go out? It's not that big of a deal. Being able to go out and relieve my stress helps keep the peace within our family. And I deserve to take a break from time to time, don't you think? So what's wrong with telling a small lie, as long as it keeps everyone happy? I told them that I signed up for a flower arrangement class, and they never even questioned my intentions. So let me get this straight. You lied to your in-laws and forced the care of your children onto them so that you can go gambling, disregarding the promise you made to your husband about staying away from it. And not only that, you used up the money that was collected to pay the deposit for our class graduation trip, which you were supposed to be looking after. I didn't use it all up, but that's why I'm asking you to make an additional payment. As long as you can chip in a bit more, no one will notice the missing deposit money. I see. So that's why you sent me a message out of the blue. But let me be clear about one thing. I am not paying a single additional cent. Well, in the worst case, we'll just have to cancel this trip. But are you sure that's what you want? This is just ridiculous. Just get the money ready to pay everyone back for their portion of the deposit. It looks like it was a huge mistake to leave you in charge. I'm gonna need some time to think this through. Patricia, what's with the delay? It's already been 4 days since our last conversation, and you still haven't made the additional payment. All the money is gone now, so I hope that you transfer the funds soon. I'm really counting on your additional contribution. What are you talking about? I already told you before, but I have no intention of making any additional payments. If anything, it should be you who needs to pay to make up for everyone's money that you used up. Why would I need to do that? You know exactly why. What happened to the money that we all paid for our kids' graduation trip? The deposit alone was $3,000, which you said you would take the responsibility of collecting from everyone. You said that you took the liberty of using up that money for personal reasons. But do you have an idea when you'll be able to return those funds? It never even crossed my mind about returning that money, to be honest. Huh? You're kidding, right? What's the big deal? We'll just call off this trip, okay? Besides, I told you the money's no longer in my hands, so what other choice do we have? And I'm sorry, but I used all the money on the slot machines. Since we can't pay for the trip anymore, let's just cancel it, okay? Sure, you go ahead and cancel your trip because the rest of us are already on vacation. Huh? What do you mean? What do you mean? You're the one who owes us an explanation. Anyways, we're already here and we have a lot of things planned for the day. I don't understand. What about me? That's not our problem. Let me just tell you that no one here misses your presence, but you still owe us the money that we paid, so you better return it as soon as possible. What? That doesn't make any sense. You're on vacation right now? I don't believe this. I'm the one who's organizing this trip. How is it possible that I'm left behind? Well, we all agreed that we didn't want you handling any more of our money since you can't seem to control your spending habits. And someone suggested that we forget about you for the time being and go through with this trip as planned, but without including you. It seemed like a good enough plan, since we all had taken the time to go off on this trip, so we all jumped on board with this plan. And here we are, having such a great time. What? I was supposed to be collecting all the money for this trip, but I haven't received anything from any of you. How can you be taking this trip without giving me the money first? Why should we have to give you any of our money? The last time we did that, you ended up gambling it all away. But that's not my fault. You guys requested that I hold on to all the money since I was organizing the trip, even though you knew that I had a gambling habit. If you were worried about me spending the money, you shouldn't have given me that responsibility in the first place. No one asked you to take on that responsibility. You volunteered for it yourself. Stop trying to put the blame on someone else just because you messed up. Besides, we trusted you without money. That's why we agreed to let you handle it yourself. I can't believe that you'd betray us like that. And not only that, you've been lying to your husband and your in-laws about your gambling habit. They have no idea what you've been up to. And in the end, you were using money that doesn't even belong to you to supplement your gambling habits. Don't you think that's wrong? What? So is that why you all decided to leave me out and go on this trip without me? Don't you think that's wrong? Well then, let me ask you something. When do you plan on returning the money that you collected from us in the beginning? What do you mean? Oh, don't tell me that you thought we were going to let that go, just because you had to cancel the original trip for lack of funds. Don't forget that it's your fault that there wasn't enough money in the first place. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, so I thought we could just forget about it. It's $3,000. That seems like a pretty big deal to me. And it's definitely not an amount that we can just forget about. So we all expect you to pay us back in full. But why? You're all on the trip already, right? Like it was originally planned. So you got what you wanted. What more do you want? As a matter of fact, everything will be perfect as soon as I join you guys. So tell me where you are so I can head over right away. You already paid for my portion of the trip too, right? No way. You're not seriously asking that, are you? And in that case, you have no intention of paying us back for the deposit, am I right? Well, what other choice do I have? I told you that I spent it all, so what's gone is gone. I see. Then I guess we'll just have to bill your husband for the repayment. What? You can't do that! Why not? You said so yourself that you're unable to pay us back. So isn't it obvious that your husband should return the money on your behalf? And I'm sure he'll want a clear explanation as to why you're in this situation in the first place. No, wait. You can't involve him because he doesn't know that I'm still gambling. Don't you think you're taking things a bit too far? There's no need to tell him what's going on. This is just a misunderstanding within our group of mom friends, so I'm sure we can find a way to resolve it ourselves. Of course, that would be ideal. I don't want to involve any more people than is necessary either, but you're the one who's preventing that from being possible. What you did is not something that can easily be forgiven. We trusted you to hold on to the money that was supposed to go towards this trip, but you went ahead and gambled it all away. So not only did you completely betray our trust, but what you did is no different than stealing from us. How do you expect us to just forget about something like this? In fact, I hope you understand how furious we all are. Thanks to your selfish behavior, we had to plan a new trip itinerary at the last minute. So the least you can do is return the money that you collected from us. How many times do I have to tell you? I don't have the money anymore. I spent it all playing a slot machine. That's nothing more than an excuse, and it surely doesn't make up for what you did. Like I said, we expect you to return our money in full, even if the payments end up coming from your husband. Oh, and by the way, you should probably cancel the original booking that you made because it's too late. You don't want to be slapped with a cancellation fee on top of everything else, do you? What do you mean? Didn't you cancel the original trip when you rebooked with the new itinerary? And why would you make such an assumption? You were the organizer for this trip, so the original booking was under your name. What? So the original booking is still there? That's not good. What am I supposed to do? There's no way that I can afford to pay the cancellation fee. I'm afraid that you'll have to figure this out on your own, but it's nothing more than you deserve for lying and gambling away money that doesn't belong to you. And if you had any common sense, you probably wouldn't be in this situation to begin with. From what I understand, you don't have any personal savings because you've been a full-time housewife since you were married. So I guess that leaves us no choice but to ask your husband to get involved. No way! I won't let that happen. I told you that he lives out of state for his work, so he gives me a monthly allowance which I get to spend any way I want. But if he finds out that I was still gambling, what do you think will happen? Most likely he'll stop giving me any kind of allowance and I won't have any money to spend on myself. That's not my problem, though, is it? Well, if you're so adamant about keeping your husband from getting involved, then perhaps I should get in touch with your in-laws instead. I can inform them that their daughter-in-law isn't actually attending a flower arrangement class when she leaves her kids with them. And I have no problem revealing to them where you really are during that time. No, you can't do that. If they find out that I've been lying to them, I won't be able to leave my kids with them anymore. After all this, you're still thinking about going somewhere that you can't bring your kids along with you? That's some kind of nerve that you have. I thought you would have learned your lesson after this incident, but you're not going to give up yet, huh? I appreciate the praise, but just promise me that you won't tell my husband, okay? It wasn't meant as any kind of praise. I'm just surprised that you're not the least bit discouraged after everything that's happened. Anyways, I've already sent the photos as proof to your husband, so I guess I just have to wait now. You did what? I was able to look up your husband's contact information from the class list, so I just sent everything to him. Why would you do that when I asked you specifically not to involve him? Well, I'm sure you should be hearing from him soon. That was totally uncalled for. How will you take responsibility if this causes our relationship to go downhill? I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, but don't forget that you were the one who was lying to him this whole time. Or are you still in denial about what you've done? Anyways, it doesn't seem like your gambling habit will go away no matter who says what or how many times you make the same mistake. But I hope that you can at least acknowledge the seriousness of your problem as a result of this incident. Okay, I get it. I was wrong all along. So please, let's just settle all of this between us and not involve my husband, okay? You'll let him know that it was just a misunderstanding, right? Besides, why do you even have photos of me playing slots to begin with? When did you even take those pictures? I had a feeling that they might come in handy at some point, so I took them just the other day. And I guess my instincts were right. I'm glad that I have these photos as proof. You know that I don't have any money of my own because I'm a full-time housewife. How do you expect me to pay back such a large amount of money? It's just impossible. And if my husband finds out that I caused this trouble again, he probably won't forgive me this time. What do you mean again? Were you involved in a similar sort of situation somewhere else before? Oh, is that why you transferred to this school in the middle of the year? It all makes sense now. There's no point in digging up the past. Who cares about what happened at my previous school anyways? We've been getting along perfectly fine since I moved here. And I promise that I'll do my best to stay completely away from the slot machines. Let's just all get along from now on, okay? And let's just forget about the money for the time being. You can't put a price on our friendship, don't you agree? Sure, except we're talking about $3,000 here. It's not an amount that we can just forget about, as you say. If you're not willing to pay that money back, you leave us with no choice but to go to the police to file a complaint. A complaint? What do you mean? There's no need to involve the police. You stole $3,000 from us. That's a big enough crime to get the police involved. Well, if your husband is out of the question, why don't you ask your in-laws for help? If they're willing to, that is. I mean, you did lie to them about the reason why you were leaving your kids with them. I wouldn't be surprised if they turned you down. The last time I was involved in money trouble, I promised my husband that I would stay away from the slot machines. For good. But if he finds out that I hadn't been keeping that promise this whole time, he probably won't give me a second chance again. What if he doesn't forgive me anymore? Patricia, please, you have to help me out. I don't know why you think that I would even consider helping you out. You brought all of this onto yourself. I'm afraid that there isn't much that I can do to make this situation better for you. Oh, don't be like that. What does everyone else in the group say? I'm sure they're all worried about me and wondering why I'm not on the trip with them. Worried? About what? We all agree that this is what you deserve. It's about time you get a taste of your own medicine. What? That can't be true. Our class graduation trip was about to be completely ruined because of you. It's a good thing that we were able to rearrange everything at the last minute, though. No thanks to you. Anyways, it's not even worth discussing anymore because we've decided to cut all ties with you from now on. What do you mean that you're gonna cut ties with me? I thought we were friends. I don't know about you, but I'd rather not be friends with a lying thief. But the first thing you need to do is pay back every single cent of our money that you collected before saying things like that. Although I'm pretty sure that you won't be invited to any more gatherings with our group of mom friends anymore. On the other hand, you'll be free to enjoy all the gambling that you want without anyone telling you otherwise. I hope you're happy now that you no longer have to hide your gambling problem from us. Later, we found out that Nicole's gambling was the cause of some trouble in their previous neighborhood as well before they moved here. It turns out that she'd borrowed money and ended up not being able to repay it because she used it all up. Sounds pretty similar to what she did here, huh? Anyways, her husband stepped in and paid the money back on her behalf that time. However, he had had enough of her gambling and decided that he wasn't going to be as understanding this time around. Nicole had promised her husband after the previous time that she would never gamble again. But look where we are now. Not only did she not keep her promise, but she also lied about it as well. Her husband wasn't going to make the same mistake again and let her off the hook so easily this time. And in fact, he told her that he wanted a divorce. Nicole was forced to move out of her home and even lost custody of her children. After the divorce was finalized, her husband and children ended up moving in with her former in-laws. She lost a kind, understanding husband who was willing to forgive her mistake the first time, but to make the same exact mistake again? Unfortunately, she has only herself to blame for how things turned out. Her husband ended up repaying the deposit money to us initially, but he added that amount to the settlement he demanded from her after their divorce. Everyone in our group of mom friends blocked her contact right after this incident, so she was no longer able to contact any of us. Apparently, she's been looking for work, all alone with no one to rely on. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to see more content. Claire, where the heck are you? Why aren't you here making dinner like the rest of us? How many times do I have to tell you? In this house, we must eat breakfast at 6 a.m. and dinner at 5 p.m. sharp. You've been a part of this family for 3 years already. I don't love that I still have to repeat myself like this. Why do I need to coach you on everything like you're a newbie? This is precisely why having strict parents is one of the most highly regarded advantages. If your parents hadn't been so nilly-nelly about mealtimes, I wouldn't have to teach you these things from scratch. I simply don't have time for this nonsense.
Hey, Janice. Sorry, I'm at the butcher downtown. Paul said he wanted to have ribs for dinner tonight, so I came to get some good quality pork that won't hurt his teeth as much. I'll be back as soon as I get it, and a bottle of wine he asked me to pick up on the way as well.
Why must you always leave things until the last minute and scramble in a rush? Did we not give you a list of groceries to get at the start of the week? What more important thing do you have to do as a homemaker that you can't think about lunch as soon as breakfast is over and think about dinner as soon as lunch is over? It's not all that hard. You have one responsibility: to make sure everything in this house runs smoothly. I am really getting sick and tired of your lack of initiative.
I am trying my best, Janice. Maybe you could help me out a little? Lighten the load?
What? That is absurd. I've been doing the same things my whole life, even before I was married to Paul. But now I have you to do those for me, don't I? That is the point of having a daughter-in-law, to train her to do the work you won't be able to do as I get older, is it not? You are part of the Thomas family now. Stop making excuses and start pulling your weight. Being a woman of this family is not to be taken lightly.
I'm not a homemaker, Janice. You know that. I have my job at the store. I can't do everything you ask me to do all the time. You are a stay-at-home housewife. Can't you do a few things while I'm at work sometimes? It will really help me out, and plus, you know better what needs to be done.
Are you looking down on me for being a stay-at-home wife? It is a strenuous full-time job, you know. Without me, your father-in-law would never have been able to focus only on his job. And the same goes for my children and their well-being. And your job is nothing but a part-time cashier position at a local convenience store. What have you got to be proud of? It's not like you're pulling in bank teller money or an office receptionist's salary. You're not saving lives out there. Do you realize how embarrassing it is for me to talk to my friends about you? A daughter-in-law working as a cashier? All my friends have more prominent in-laws, like doctors and professors. Ugh. Maybe this is as good a chance as any to tell you to quit. Yes, why don't you quit your meaningless job and focus on doing things around the house that need attention?
It's not like I do it for the thrill of it, Janice. I need the extra cash to pay for things I want to spend money on. Ken can only afford to give me $70 each month to spend on myself. If I need money, I have to work for it. It's not like I won another $1,000. Between my job and my fertility clinic visits, I can't always have dinner ready on the table by 5. Especially if you expect me to take care of Paul's sponge baths every day. It's not like you and Paul have no savings. Why can't you help us out? It's the least you could do after I agreed to move in with you to help take care of Paul and help around the house. I didn't agree to doing everything all by myself all the time.
Time and money management is key to becoming a successful housewife, dear. Do you think you have it any harder than everybody else? In this day and age where machines do most of our work for us? Look around you. We are the first generation in the history of mankind to rely so heavily on technology. Almost everything has a machine that does the job. All you have to do is press a button most of the time. Are you so lazy that you won't do even that? And we're not as well off as you might think. We are comfortable, yes, but it's because your father-in-law invested most of his savings into buying this gigantic 3,000 square foot house. So don't you come running to us for financial help.
Well, it sounds like I definitely need to keep my job and bring in extra cash as much as possible. And it also sounds like you should be helping me around the house so that I can keep working.
That is not going to happen, especially now that Tim is planning on moving back in with us. We'll need all the working hands we can scramble.
Timothy is moving back in?
Yes, isn't that great news? It has always been Paul and I's dream, you see, to live with our boys and their wives and their children, our grandchildren, under one roof. That's precisely why we bought this house that cost us nearly every last penny.
How am I hearing about Timothy just now?
Because I'm telling you just now. I hear he had a hard time convincing his new wife, Amy, to move in with his parents for the first few years. Don't be a party pooper and make them feel unwelcome, won't you? You have to make her feel like she made the right choice. A lot is at stake here. Oh, Amy's the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. She's always dressed so impeccably, too. I never knew my Tim had it in him to bring home a drop-dead gorgeous fiance like that, let alone go all the way and marry her. Maybe living with her under one roof will motivate you to take care of yourself better. Don't you think so, Claire? I bet Amy has all the latest fashion trends and makeup tips locked and loaded. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Are you being serious right now? I have to not only live with my husband's parents, but with my husband's brother and his new wife? I'm sorry, but that's not okay, Janice. First of all, there's no room for 3 adult couples in that house. A 3,000 square foot house may have been a mansion in your time, but it's not spacious enough to house 6 adults. And we only have 2 bathrooms. Are we gonna have to share? You know I'm trying to have a baby.
Oh, hush. You'll get used to it in no time. Besides, you don't have any real siblings, so this can be your chance to have a sister. She can teach you all about what to wear, what makeup to put on, etc., etc. Don't you dare do anything to scare her away. She's basically light years out of Tim's league, and we can't let her know that. You can pamper her real nice the first couple months, can't you?
Pamper her? What do you mean by that? Like do all the work around the house that I'm currently doing, but for Timothy and his wife too? Are you telling me to do their laundry, cook their food, clean their room, and wait on them hand and foot? Why? So that they feel welcome?
Well, that is your burden as the first one to be welcomed into this family, isn't it? What good are you if you can't be a stellar representative of our family to the newest addition? Besides, Timothy told me the one condition under which Amy agreed to move in with us was that we treat her like a guest. That's not a bad bargain. Think about it. How difficult and uncomfortable must she be to have to live with 4 strangers all of a sudden? And what a sweetheart she is to agree to something like that. All for the love of her husband, that angel. So keep the peace at all costs, Claire. You hear?
Nope. I respectfully decline. I will do no such thing.
What? Are you talking back to me? I am your mother-in-law. As long as you live under my roof, you will do as I say.
If you want so desperately to impress her, you do it yourself. I've done enough here. Consider this my notice. I'm moving out, with or without your son. I have had it.
How dare you say that? Especially now when Paul needs round-the-clock care. If that is your idea of a sick joke, you stop at this instant. It is not funny, and now is not the time. Come back home right now and apologize to us.
I gotta go. I need to talk to Ken.
I am not done with you. Do not ignore my messages.
Is it true that Timothy and his new wife are moving in with us too? Your mom just dropped that bomb on me.
Yeah, they're planning on moving in this weekend.
This weekend? That is in 2 days, Ken. How could you all know about this and I'm the last one to find out? And yes, I'm expected to do all the cleaning and preparing for their move? Where were you in all this? Did you have no say in the decision? And why was I never invited to discuss this big life decision? What more can I do so you people will treat me like a real family member?
Whoa, I didn't expect you to have such a crazy reaction to it. Are you being a little sensitive? Calm down. Is it that time of the month, Claire?
What?
Come on now, this has been my parents' dream, to live with me and my brother after we were married. You know this. Let's just see what happens. Who knows, maybe you will love it. Amy's a sweet girl. You will definitely love her. I honestly can't believe Timothy scored a chick like that. I wonder what it's like to wake up to a 10 out of 10 every morning. Damn, that's gotta be nice, huh?
Are you serious right now? Are you really saying that to your wife?
I'm just teasing, babe. Easy. No need to get all ugly jealous. Why are you so short with me lately? You're always so on edge, like you can't wait to slit my throat in my sleep. You're like a starved animal sometimes. Tisk tisk.
You made me be this way. You and your overbearing mother. Do you have any idea what I deal with during the day while you're at work or at some dinner party every other day? No, I don't accept this. I will not live like this anymore.
Well, what can we do? It's already been decided and it's my parents' house. They have the final say. So don't do anything irrational and make matters worse for you. If my dad gets worse than he already is, that will surely scare Amy away.
And just like that, without even a pretense of trying to hear me out, the 6 Thomases began living under one, not nearly spacious enough roof. The new daughter-in-law, Amy, was instantly a family favorite thanks to her supermodel figure and wealthy upbringing, which allowed her to be a perpetual guest of honor in this house. My supposedly bedridden father-in-law once got out of his usual recliner and personally brought over a cup of water to Amy, and thanked her for allowing him to do this much-needed exercise. My idiot husband started to come home from work noticeably earlier than usual, and always made a point of eating dinner with the rest of us every night. As for me, the lowly maid of the Thomas household, tried multiple times to broach the subject to my husband about the two of us finally moving out and starting a family for ourselves, but was only met with a side eye or a dismissive chuckle. Ken even chalked up my wanting to move out to being jealous of Amy in front of Amy herself. It was untrue and I was mortified. As a final resort, I gave him an ultimatum: move out with me or let me leave by myself. Guess which one that loser chose. Ken, the perfect son and dedicated brother, chose the latter, making excuses about not going to abandon his ill father. I decided then and there that I would much rather be a divorced single cat lady in my mid-30s than a middle-class servant to this asshole family. I took him up on his word, packed up my stuff into 2 small suitcases, and left within the week. I told my boss I can start working full-time, and he was delighted to add me onto the schedule immediately. I was finally settling into my new apartment and slowly easing back into the liberating lifestyle when my ex-mother-in-law texted me with a disturbing message.
Hello, Claire. How have you been? Well, I hope. I can't believe it's already been 3 months since you left us. Have you found your footing being alone? I wanted to see how you were doing, and I thought I should tell you. We may have been a bit rash. It has become clear to us that we treated you less than ideally while you were with us. We can see that now. Forgive us, dear. I guess it just never occurred to us that you could be uncomfortable. You are regretting the separation too, I'm sure. You must be so lonely and miss living with family, am I right? Why don't you come on back to us?
I'm not separated from your son. We're divorced. We have signed official documents.
Well, no matter. They're just papers, aren't they? Mere papers can't break up a marriage now. Don't be silly. There is surely more than a legal bind between you and my son. I'm not a stickler for technicalities anyway. I'm willing to accept you back into this family, with or without legal documents. As long as you're open to accepting this offer, of course. I have thought long and hard about this, and I have come to the conclusion that you are the only daughter-in-law I approve of. I simply didn't express that enough for you to understand. And that's my fault, I admit it. I should have treated you like the wonderful daughter that you are.
Janice, what in the world? Did you have a stroke? Did you hit your head somewhere? I have no intention whatsoever to go back to that hellhole, let alone volunteer to be a part of your family again. What's the matter? Are you hurting for a free live-in caretaker? You have a daughter-in-law at your command. Use her. Have her be your maid and chef and nurse. Why did you ever think to come crawling back to me like this? This doesn't become you. Please stop talking to me.
Oh, I can't even begin to speak about that Amy girl. All I can say is that she relies too heavily on her beauty. Silly girl. Beauty is but a fleeting advantage. She's too young and too pretty for her own good. Do you know what she said to us? She said that she's like a brilliant star that brightens her surroundings just by being there, so she can't be expected to do much else. She's too busy shining, she said. She doesn't know the first thing about living with other people, that girl. She's never picked up her plate after dinner or fished out her long blonde hairs out of the shower. The other day she walked by me giving Paul a sponge bath, and I saw her cringe. God forbid, what if my son falls ill someday? Will she leave him to be taken care of by a stranger in a home?
Didn't you tell me once that we don't have it as hard in this day and age of advanced machines and technology? You called me lazy. Press a button is all you said I needed to do, I recall.
I know, darling. I regret my arrogance. I was trying to assert my authority in the house, I guess. It's all for nothing.
Well, you were plenty good at it. Why don't you do that exact thing to the new girl? What good is a daughter-in-law, right, Janice?
I've tried. Trust me, I've tried everything with Amy. At the first hint of any kind of criticism, she runs to her husband and tattles on me. And you know Timothy, he isn't like Kenny in that regard. Tim would take his wife's side and yell at me for being an overbearing mother-in-law.
Oh yeah, I remember Timothy being an outspoken young man, unlike his timid brother. I should have known better than to marry a man who couldn't stand up to his mother for his wife.
That is not where I was going with this, Claire, darling. I am trying to get you to do the right thing. You have to come back. There is nobody on my side here. Both my dumb sons are too head over heels obsessed with Amy to let me say a peep. And even their decrepit old father is nagging me to leave his babies alone. Can you believe these people?
Why don't you just kick them out?
They won't listen. Amy says she's never done anything around the house growing up like a pretty little princess, and she's adamant she won't start now. She demands I keep my end of the bargain and treat her like a special guest because that was the deal. She says she would never have moved into this house if that condition wasn't met. She expects breakfast and dinner to be on the table. She just sat down and ordered 2 eggs the other day like I was some diner.
That's too bad, Janice. I'm sorry you've had such bad luck with your son's wives. It sounds like this Amy character is doing to you exactly the same things that you did to me, though, huh? You reap what you sow, am I right? But seeing as I'm not one of those daughter-in-laws anymore, this is not my problem in any shape or form. I will be blocking you now.
Claire, wait. Could you please lend me some money at least? Please, these imbecile sons of mine won't give me more than the bare minimum. I let them eat my food and sleep in my house without paying rent, and this is how they repay me. Ken is giving me the $70 a month he used to give you, but Tim won't let me have any more than $30 because his wife takes care of their finances. $100 each month is all they spare their mother. Could you lend me maybe $1,000 or so? No, $500 is all I ask. You must be doing well with your new job and no other mouths to feed.
I vividly remember you telling me that the $70 that Ken gives me should be enough and that money management was key to becoming a great housewife. Why don't you sell your precious house if you need money? The nerve to come back to me for money is just appalling. Goodbye, Janice. If you try to contact me or approach me again, I will call the police. I promptly blocked my ex-mother-in-law and completely cut myself off from the rest of that wretched family. After a while, I ran into Ken's aunt by chance at the store I'm managing. She told me that Janice and Paul had to sell their house and move into a smaller, less spacious apartment. Apparently, every chance she gets, Janice would complain to whoever would listen about how she has to wait on her no-good daughter-in-law hand and foot when it should rightly be the other way around. And that she lost her only truly great daughter-in-law, Claire, to the Amy's voodoo witchcraft. It sounds like Janice is doing some well-deserved self-reflection, just too little, too late. As for me, I'm loving my new job as store manager. I was promoted as soon as I was able to work full-time. The regulars love me for my genuine friendliness, and I love them for their loyalty. For once in my life, I'm getting the reward I deserve and earned by doing well at my job. I make my own money, and I enjoy the freedom of spending the money however I see fit. Next week, I'll even send a care package to my parents who live 3 time zones away. They don't know about my divorce yet, but I know they'll be happier for me now than they would have been if they knew how I was treated by Ken's family. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Hey honey, are you done with work?
I'm just on my way home, hon. So, how was your day?
It was my day off today, actually.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Did you have a nice easy day? I know I didn't.
Yeah, I did, as a matter of fact. I couldn't be bothered to go out, so I just stayed in the whole day.
Yeah, it was raining all day, wasn't it? I hope we get some nice weather soon. On a day like today, who wants to go out, right?
I know. It was so nice to just curl up on the couch. I didn't step out the whole day. I had some time on my hands, so I was online all day looking at houses.
Seeing where we can move to when we get married?
That's right. We gotta think ahead, you know. It's not that far away. It was so fun thinking about what kind of place would be good when we live together in the future. It's so easy to start dreaming when you're looking at homes on the internet, you know? The mind just wanders.
I kind of know what you mean. Thanks for looking, though. So, did you find anything good? Anything stick out?
Well, there were a few houses I saw that caught my eye a little bit, but I didn't see anything that really grabbed my attention, something that I'd make a down payment for right away. It seems like it's hard to find exactly what you're looking for, you know? There are just so many listings, even for rentals.
If you find a good spot, of course, you're going to have to pay that much more rent. And with rents the way they are today...
I know! It seems like nothing is affordable anymore. You have to spend hours looking.
Well, there's still time. No need to commit ourselves to anything yet. Let's find something that we both feel good about, okay?
Of course, babe. We can settle for less. Oh yeah, I also checked out a couple wedding venues. It seems like there's this amazing place right in Boston. I love everything about it. It's just perfect. It has a gorgeous view of the ocean, and it would be so pretty on a sunny day, and it has great reviews.
Wow, that sounds amazing. A view of the ocean? I like that.
I think I like this place. The food seems so sumptuous, and the reception area is huge and really nice. Do you want to go ahead and make a reservation for a tour? I think we should move fast if we want to get a good venue.
Now, wait a second. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves now, do we?
Really? What do you mean? Even the tours fill up so quickly.
Well, I haven't even properly met your parents yet, right? Maybe we should do that first before anything else. We can talk plenty about wedding plans after that, right?
I guess you're right. There I go again as always. I'm just so looking forward to our wedding that I just get ahead of myself. Sorry.
Baby, you're just so excited about the wedding, aren't you? It's gonna happen. Don't worry.
I know, hun. I just can't wait is all. You know, I've always dreamed of a beautiful wedding since I was a girl. So, I guess all that's left is you gotta meet my parents, right? Then we can start making preparations.
Yeah, well, I haven't properly asked them for your hand in marriage. I think that should come first before anything else. They might not even say yes, you know? They're so protective of you and you're so dear to them. They might not want to let you go when the time comes.
I'm sure my mom will be fine with it. I just know she will. Don't worry. You don't have to be concerned about her not saying yes.
By the way, your mom is a famous piano teacher, right? I don't mean to generalize, but that makes me think that she's gonna be strict. I just get that feeling. I bet she probably has high standards for the man who'll marry her daughter, right? I hope I'm good enough for her.
What are you talking about? She's nice. I'm sure you guys will get along just fine. I just know you will.
Really? You think so? I hope you're right.
She'll definitely like you, don't worry. I mean, you're good looking and kind, and you're a good provider. What more could a girl want, right? Come on, you'll be fine.
I guess I'm just not confident enough. But let's get over and meet with her sometime soon, okay? What do you say?
Yeah, of course.
We should get it out of the way, you know? First things first. I mean, you do want to start preparation for the wedding, right? Decide on a venue and all that.
Yeah, I do. I can't wait to get started. You know, I was just thinking of going to see Mom on Saturday, as a matter of fact. So I'll ask her what day is good for her for us to go over, all right? How does that sound?
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks, hun. Let me know when you decide on a day, okay? I'm pretty flexible with my schedule, so any day that's good for her is fine. So, the big day is on Sunday at 11 o'clock, right? It's finally time for me to get to know your mom. I think I'm getting kind of nervous, honey.
Just whatever you do, don't be late, okay? She's a stickler for punctuality, so being late would be bad. I'm going to be staying at the house the night before, so when you get to the neighborhood, just text me, okay? I'll go out and meet you, all right? The house itself is kind of hard to find, and I wouldn't want you to get lost.
Okay, sounds good. I guess I'll wear a suit then, okay?
Relax, you don't have to get all uptight. It's not like it's a job interview. Just wear something clean cut and you'll be fine.
Well, I was thinking that it would be best to wear something formal, you know? I'm asking for your hand in marriage, right?
Oh God, don't be silly. There's no need. Oh, I guess Mom wants to talk to you herself. I'll put her on, okay?
Are you at your mom's house now?
Yeah, I just felt like cleaning up my room a bit. I'd be so embarrassed if you saw my messy room. It's a disaster area.
Yeah, never mind that. I'm sure mine's messier. So, your mom wants to talk to me. Do you know what about?
Sorry, I don't know why. I mean, she's gonna see us this weekend anyway. I guess she just wants to chat for a bit. She says she wants to get to know you a bit beforehand. I don't know.
Sure, I'll talk to her. It's just that I wasn't expecting it. Gosh, I'm nervous.
Thanks, you'll do fine. Hold on a sec, okay? I'll put her on, okay?
Hello. This is Mary's mother, Marge. Sorry for the suddenness. I hope you don't mind. I just wanted to chat with you for a bit.
Hello, this is Tyler. It's good to meet you.
Yes, what a pleasure. I understand that you're a freelancer of sorts. Is that right?
That's correct, ma'am. I'm a freelance programmer, to be exact.
Do you earn a lot with that job? What's the salary like?
Well, it honestly depends on the month. It's never really the same. But I would say that I do earn an above-average salary.
But a freelancer is not a stable thing, right? It's not like you have a boss or an office. That type of work can go away in the blink of an eye. I guess what I'm asking is, are you going to be able to provide for my daughter, Tyler? I hate to be so direct, but it's something I need to know.
I think I make a bit more than most people my age, actually. I'm sure that I'll be able to provide for her. I should think that I would be able to support 2 or 3 children with what I earn.
Is that right? Tyler, I think that you might have heard from Mary that we are a family with a long and distinguished lineage.
Yes, ma'am, she has mentioned it. I'm aware of it.
That's why we've always looked for the same in all of Mary's prospective suitors. But apparently you come from a common family, isn't that right?
I'm not sure what you mean by common family. We were never that rich or well off, if that's what you mean.
I have to level with you. I'm letting Mary see you as she has such strong feelings for you. That's the only reason I'm allowing it. But I have to tell you that doesn't mean that I regard you as a suitable marriage partner.
Well, yes, it's true that I come from humble origins, but I have a solid income and don't smoke or gamble or anything like that. I admit I do drink a little, but I'll be sure never to drink too much.
So what are you trying to say?
That I will most certainly make your daughter happy. That is the most important thing for me.
I suppose it's easy enough to say that, isn't it? Tyler, what line of work is your mother in, if I may ask?
My mother? She's been working for many years as a pharmacist.
I heard that your father passed away.
Yes, that was 10 years ago.
I'm sure it must have been hard on your mother, raising you on her own. But I have to ask, was she able to give you a proper education? I imagine that it wasn't easy for her to have you do all the activities that kids do, like SAT tutoring and so forth. Am I right?
It's true. I've never had any special tutoring classes or violin lessons or anything extra like that. Money was tight. But I had a nice neighbor who was in high school and who helped me out with my high school work, so I was able to make it through all right. In fact, I got good grades. While it's true that I did come from a single-parent home, I did receive a proper education.
Still, it's probably hard for you to understand, but I feel a bit ambivalent about it all. Coming from a single-parent home, it's just not a good look. Do you follow what I mean? I don't know how else to put it. Our relatives won't think well of it either, that's for sure. More than anything, it wouldn't be fair to my daughter. I want her to marry someone of her own station, if you will.
But I love her. I don't know what else to tell you.
Is that right? Well, anyway, there's not much more for me to say here. When we meet, I'll be sure to take a close look at you to see who you are.
I understand. I'll see you then.
Today I wanted to let you know that I do not look favorably on your being with my daughter, and I thought that it's best to be honest. It's better that you know that and come prepared, right?
I appreciate your consideration. I really do.
Well, I will put my daughter back on. Goodbye, Tyler.
Tyler, are you all right? I can't believe she got into all that. Sorry about that.
I'm fine. Don't worry. No big deal.
She went back to her room, so she's not around anymore. So, tell me what you really think. I just hope she didn't offend you, Tyler.
I wasn't really expecting that, and to be honest, I was a bit taken aback, but I can understand her point of view. She's your mother, after all.
I don't blame you for feeling that way. I'm really sorry, okay? Mom's normally really nice, you know? But I guess when it comes to marriage, she has high expectations, you know what I mean? She doesn't mean it personally. I love you, Tyler, and there's no way we're not getting married. So I don't want you to think too much about what Mom said. Just try to forget about it. I'll have her thoroughly convinced before you guys meet, I promise, okay? Just leave it to me. I know how to handle her.
And I'll put on my best face and do my best when I meet her to make a good impression. We have to win her over. The both of us can do it. I just know we can.
Tyler, thanks for coming yesterday. I appreciate it. Actually, do you have a second right now?
Thanks for having me yesterday. I had a wonderful time, and the food was delicious. I really enjoyed myself. But most of all, I'm so happy that you gave me permission to marry your daughter.
Mary seemed so happy as well. I haven't seen her that happy in a while, actually.
Yes, she did seem real happy. She was so happy that we can now finally begin to get ready for the wedding. She is so much looking forward to it.
Actually, that's exactly what I wanted to talk to you about the wedding.
Of course, what is it?
I was thinking it over last night, and I've come to a conclusion, and that is why I reached out to you. I may as well just say it. I want you to call off the engagement.
I'm not sure what you mean. You just gave us your blessing the other day. I'm not sure I follow you.
I let Mary's enthusiasm cloud my judgment last night, and I gave my permission. In hindsight, it was a mistake. I don't know what came over me. After sleeping on it, I have to say that I really don't think you are a suitable match for my daughter. I don't mean this personally, Tyler. Don't get me wrong. So, I want you to break it off with her. I won't let you get married. I have made up my mind. Now, I can imagine you're taken aback at this, but the both of you are still young. There will be plenty of opportunities for both of you in the future. As they say, there are plenty of fish in the sea. You have to find someone that's a right match for you. Someone of the same station in life. In the end, this will be the best for both of you.
So, you want me to break off the engagement? Is that it? Is that the conclusion you reached? You also want me to stop seeing her altogether? Is that what you want to tell me?
Yes, I'm afraid it is, Tyler. I don't take any pleasure in saying this, believe me.
Really? Well, I would be glad to do just that, actually. That is music to my ears. All right, I can't believe my luck. You really have no idea. Man, what a relief this is.
Huh? I beg your pardon.
Actually, last night I was wondering whether I should really go through with the wedding. It had me tossing and turning the whole night. And right after getting your okay, to go back on my word would have been, outrageous to say the least. But to have you yourself come out like this and tell me to break it off? Thank you. Oh God, what a load off my back.
What? So you were having second thoughts even before this?
Yes, to be honest, I actually was having a lot of second thoughts. The truth is that I don't want to get married anymore.
What a frivolous little man you are. I can't believe you. Are you kidding me? Now I can see that I sure did the right thing making you two break up. So this was the guy my daughter was seeing all along and was going to marry.
Ma'am, you have it all wrong. The reason why I don't think I can marry your daughter is because of her. You're gonna have to let me explain.
What on earth are you talking about, Tyler? Please do explain. It's her fault? Is that it? I should have figured you'd say that.
No, ma'am, that's not it. It's that I found out who she really is when no one is looking. I don't know if you know, but after seeing what I saw, there was just no way I could be with her.
What do you mean, who she really is? What are you talking about?
Hey, sorry I didn't take your call earlier. I didn't know you'd called, so I called you back as soon as I could. Is your lunch break over? Can you talk for a bit?
Yeah, I'm not on my break anymore, but I can talk for a minute. There's actually something I wanted to tell you.
Yeah, sure. What's up? What is it? Is it about the venue for the wedding? You know, I can't wait to get started.
No, it's not about that, actually. It's about something else that I've had on my mind. I want to break off the engagement. That's what I wanted to tell you.
What? I don't understand. What are you talking about?
The engagement's off. It's simple as that. I can't marry you, Mary.
What do you mean? I can't believe you're saying this. You're joking, right? Please tell me you're joking.
I'm dead serious. I'm not joking.
Why are you saying this? I don't get it. Was it something I did? Was it something I did to you?
No, it's not that. You didn't do anything to me at all.
Then what is it? Why don't you want to go through with it? Do you need a little time? Is that it? If there is something about me you don't like, I'll fix it. I'll work on it. I can't believe you're saying this.
Last night after our meeting with your mother, the two of us went out to eat, right?
Yeah, we did. But you seemed fine then. What was the problem? We were even talking about our honeymoon, don't you remember? What was the problem? Everything was fine, right? And now you tell me you want to break off the engagement?
It was what happened after that, as we were leaving.
After? We were both tired and we said our goodbyes and left. Did something happen? I don't follow you, Tyler.
After we said goodbye, I remembered that I'd forgotten something. I had asked you to put your folding umbrella in my bag, remember?
Oh yeah, I remember. I had it in my bag. I'd forgotten to give it back to you.
Yeah, well, it looked like rain, so I went back for it. You hadn't gone far and I caught up to you. You didn't notice me, though.
Really? But you didn't say anything to me, did you? I went straight home.
I couldn't say anything. I couldn't bring myself to say anything. I saw you kick a homeless guy.
You were watching me? You stood there and watched me?
I watched you, all right? I saw you kick down a homeless man who had come up to you and then spit on him. That's what I saw you do.
No, that's not it. That's not how it happened. I thought it was some pervert and I got scared and shoved him away. You have to believe me. He was smiling all creepy when he came up to me. I was protecting myself.
He didn't look creepy to me. That's not what I saw. His face was ashen. It was obvious he had gotten sick suddenly. You kicked him down and said horrible things to the poor guy who was just trying to ask for help. I saw the whole thing.
I didn't say anything like that. You got it all wrong. You must have misheard me.
I heard you just fine. I know I did. I heard you say, "Get away from me, you piece of trash." The guy just stayed crouched down. I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
But he came right up to me all of a sudden that I got scared. It's the truth. He was filthy, you know? How can you blame me?
You could have just kept your distance and called an ambulance for him. You didn't have to do what you did. Why did you have to kick him down and spit on him? I called an ambulance for him and he was all right.
You called an ambulance for him, Tyler?
Well, yeah, I had to. Any decent person would have. It could have been a matter of life or death.
I see. But I tell you, I really thought it was some pervert.
No, you didn't. Don't say that. You showed yourself for who you really are that day. You can sure put on a good act, so nice and sweet. You really had me fooled. I must say, hook, line, and sinker.
It's not like that. I was just agitated then is all.
Oh, so when you get agitated, you get violent and spit on people, is that it? If we got married, there's gonna be times when you get agitated, right? And there would come a day where you'd kick me down just like that homeless person, I guess. I can see that happening.
I would never do that to you, Tyler. Never.
Why? You act differently with different people, is that it? Different standards for different people? You just bash someone who is weaker than you. That's the type of person you are, isn't it?
No, I'm telling you. Please believe me.
I can't forget the cold look in your eyes when you were looking down on that poor homeless guy. I just can't. I guess there are some people who can be that cruel.
Listen to me, please. My mom's already agreed to our getting married. She's not going to just let you break off the engagement like that. Please. There's no going back.
Don't worry about that at all. It was your mother who first asked me to break off the engagement.
My mom did that? What? What do you mean? Just last night she said yes. She gave us her blessing.
Well, apparently she had a change of heart overnight. As a matter of fact, she talked to me this morning. It was great timing as far as I'm concerned, and I agreed to break it off.
What? Why did you go behind my back like that? How could you?
I told your mother exactly what I saw last night. No more, no less. She actually apologized to me for her own daughter not being suitable for me. I guess courtesy and common decency are important to her.
Why would my mother say something like that?
Because you are an embarrassment to her, that's why.
Oh, shut up. What, just because I said some harsh words? Is that what this is all about? So women aren't allowed to use harsh language, is that it?
It's not just the language. You know what I'm talking about. Don't try to distort it.
I was trying all along to be the female that you men are after. So you're gonna break it all off just because I let myself go that one time? Are you kidding me? Do you have any idea how hard I tried? Any idea? Damn!
See, those are your true colors shining through right there, honey. You're proving my point for me. I don't want to marry someone like that. Now, do you understand?
I'm not having this. I won't.
I don't care. I'm through with you. I got your mother's permission. Besides, she's the one who wanted me to break it off in the first place.
I don't know anything about that. I have no idea what you're talking about. I will absolutely get married. Do you understand?
Okay, do you want to explain everything to my mother and then you can meet her? If my mom says yes, then I'll oblige you and we'll get married. How's that? But there is no way she would say yes to you. I'll tell you right now. After that, Mary contacted me a few times. She wanted to get back together, but I wasn't changing my mind. She still blames her mother for me breaking off the engagement, and the two of them aren't speaking. I guess she doesn't feel that she's in the wrong. If so, then I guess she's the one with the problem, not anyone else. I heard through the grapevine that she's gone through several boyfriends since then. Somehow, that doesn't surprise me. I guess she's pretty good at coming across as nice and sweet to the guys she meets. But in the end, I think that her true self will come out before the wedding and they'll break up, or even if she did get married, the guy would leave her after seeing what kind of a person she is. She can never keep hiding who she really is. Sooner or later, her true colors will show. I'm just glad that I found out who she was before going ahead with the wedding. I'm completely over it and looking for a new relationship. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe to see more.
Linda, can I ask you something, if you don't mind? I don't mean to sound rude or anything, but are you almost close to retirement age or something?
Michaela, that's a bit out of line, don't you think? As a matter of fact, I'm in my 40s, so that means I'm older than you, but obviously there's no way I'm anywhere near retirement age yet. Can't you at least tell from my appearance? And how can that even make sense if our children are in the same grade at school? Don't you have any common sense?
You're obviously well into your 40s, so that's not so far away from retirement.
That's nothing more than just a big misconception on your part.
But have you ever compared your appearance to the rest of us in our group of mom friends? You stand out because of your old age. So that's why I've always wondered just how old you were, but it makes sense that you're in your 40s. Isn't it funny that you're more than 20 years older than me? You're like old enough to be my mother.
Michaela, I know you're still young and immature, but everything you've been saying is just rude and completely out of line. Don't you realize how inappropriate your comments are? No one can stop you from thinking what you want, but as a proper adult, you should have the decency to keep these things to yourself. Well, if you have any common manners, that is. Not that it's any of your business, but I had my son later than most people give birth, but he's grown into such a kind and handsome young boy, so I feel really lucky to be this happy.
Well, I had my first child when I was 20, so as a young mom, these things bother me, and I have to let it out in the open. I mean, giving birth when you're 40? Imagine how old you're going to be when your son graduates from high school. I would be so embarrassed if I were in your position.
That's just your opinion. I hope you realize that it's not such a good thing to force your values and opinions onto others. Some people don't appreciate that kind of assertiveness.
Whatever, that's not the point I'm trying to make. On another note, have you not noticed your own body odor?
Body odor. Oh, I was a bit rushed this morning and didn't have time to shower after going to the gym, so maybe I'm still a bit sweaty from my workout.
That's not what I'm talking about. You see, even your excuses are lame because you're so old.
It wasn't meant to be an excuse. And besides, I don't have the time to be wasting on people who don't have any common sense, so I just replied back with the first thing that came to mind.
How dare you?
As a matter of fact, do you even know what it means to have common sense?
Oh, Linda, there's something else actually. You're always dressed in clothes that look like they came from a secondhand shop. Do you buy everything on sale? Perhaps because you can't afford anything more expensive? How sad, though, not being able to buy anything at retail price, especially at your age. But if you can at least put some more effort into your appearance and not dress in such dull colors all the time. Most people will judge you by the way you look, and first impressions are pretty important, you know. You don't want everyone to think that you're dull and boring on the inside and out, do you?
I've never been a big fan of flashy fashion ever since I was a child. I don't see why you have to insult my fashion sense on top of everything else as well.
I'm just pointing it out as a favor to you because it just makes you look like a poor old woman. And on top of that, a smelly one as well.
I'm completely speechless. How do you live with yourself every day being this rude and inappropriate?
What does your husband do for a living? Does he even have a job? I mean, if you're so poor that you can't even afford to buy your clothes at retail price, there must be something going on, right?
This is really none of your business, so I'd appreciate it if you would just stop already.
Then tell me, what exactly does your husband do?
I still don't see why it should be any of your concern, but my husband and I both have proper jobs.
What? You also work at your age? That's such a shame. Is your husband's pay that bad that you also have to work and contribute to your household?
Oh no, that's not the reason why at all. My husband makes more than enough to support our family. But I run my own company, so that's why I've always been involved ever since the business was established. And most importantly, I enjoy my job, which is why I've continued to work even after having my son. So far, there hasn't been any reason why I should stop working either.
That's what you say, but why don't you just admit that you have to keep working because you need that income? You can't get by on just your husband's earnings, right? On the other hand, my young and successful husband earns more than enough to support our family, so I can stay at home full time. So what do you think? Doesn't it make you jealous?
I feel like this conversation is going nowhere. I wonder if it's because of our generation gap, or maybe because you have no common sense or manners. We just have to keep talking at each other.
Oh, come on. Having your first child in your 40s. There's nothing more depressing than that. And you have to work full time because your husband alone can't support your family with its income? It's too bad for you, but it looks like you drew the short end of the stick. Your situation is so dismal compared to the rest of us. Perhaps you should consider not attending the upcoming class observation day.
Why would you even say something so rude and insulting? You're really testing my limits with these comments. I'm not going to sit back and take all this harassment for much longer.
I hope you're not trying to threaten me. Feel free to get mad, but just know that you can't scare me enough for me to back down. You're just a poor old woman making a fuss out of nothing. And as a matter of fact, we all find the situation really unacceptable.
What do you mean? In what way?
Well, there's nothing special about you except that you're the oldest mom in our group of friends. But for some reason, whenever you're around, everyone just shifts their attention to you and listens intently to everything you have to say. It just doesn't make sense. It annoys me that you take on such a bossy demeanor just because you're older than the rest of us.
Huh? That's never been my intention, but I think it's only natural for everyone to act that way. I am, in fact, older than everyone in our group. It's just common courtesy to treat those who are older than you with respect. In fact, I don't think I've ever met anyone lacking as much common sense as you, Michaela. I'm surprised that you even consider yourself to be a proper adult.
Well, I'm young and pretty, so that gives me the upper hand, and I can get away with a lot, more than you. Especially since I don't smell like an old nursing home. Oh, I don't even want to be in the same room as you.
How dare you?
Then, do you have any idea how bad you smell? Like old people in adult diapers. And what if your son starts smelling like that too?
What are you talking about?
And oh my goodness, what if my son starts smelling like you as well? I'll have to tell him not to play with your son anymore or go anywhere near him.
Okay, that's enough. Do you realize how absolutely immature you're being?
Well, if you don't want that to happen, can you stop attending our mom lunches or school events? All these gatherings and events would be much better without your bossy presence.
Is that what you want? To isolate me from everyone else in our group? Would it finally satisfy you if you didn't have to see me?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're so much older, so no one would actually think to associate you with our group of young moms. And we have nothing in common except that our kids just happen to be in the same class. You're an old mom, so you have no business being around our group. The rest of us are still in our 20s. Oh, and we don't want your old person smell to be permeating through the classroom, so don't even think about attending the open school next week.
That won't be a problem, because you're the one who won't be attending the open school.
What do you mean?
Remember when you asked me earlier what I did for a living? Well, let me take this opportunity to tell you. I run the company that your husband works for, as a matter of fact, and that makes me his boss.
Huh? What are you talking about?
Your husband is such a hard worker and honest too, so this is such a disappointment. And having someone like you as a wife, I can only sympathize with what he must have to deal with every day.
That's just crazy. You're making all this up, aren't you? There's no way that you own the company that my husband works for. This is the first time I'm hearing such a thing.
Well, your husband didn't want the fact that I was his employer to affect the relationship between us as mom friends, so he's never brought it up with you. And he also made me promise not to mention it to you either.
What? I don't understand. So my husband works for you?
Yes, that's exactly right. The one that you've been insulting and harassing this entire time is in fact your husband's employer. So, what do you think about me now? Do you finally understand the gravity of your misunderstanding?
What? No, this just doesn't make sense. And I had no idea since my husband never said anything about it. You can't blame me for not knowing.
Regardless, your harassment goes way beyond what is acceptable, so I'm sure that I can sue you for emotional damages if I want.
What? Wait, now you're just overreacting. You're not serious about suing me, are you? I never meant any harm by all this, and besides, I never even knew about your position.
So what are you saying? If I didn't have the position as your husband's employer, those comments towards me would have been acceptable? You even went so far as to referring to my son and insulting him at the same time. That's just even more unacceptable and goes way beyond what is common courtesy. You should really be ashamed of yourself.
But it was nothing more than just a small joke. Come on, Linda, you know I only said those things to see if I could ruffle your feathers a bit. You should know not to take me so seriously.
Perhaps if you weren't so oblivious to how society has changed, you'll see that many women are having children later in age. It's definitely not such a rare thing for first-time mothers to be in their 40s, like myself, especially for women who have careers. However, you still think that being a young mom gives you a higher status and think that it's okay to look down on anyone else? I can't believe that you've come this far being so naive about everything. In fact, I'm worried about your son being raised by someone lacking such common sense.
How dare you? You have no right saying that. First of all, people your age shouldn't be having babies to begin with. Perhaps you should consider your own behavior before scolding me about my attitude, because giving birth in your 40s is much more unacceptable. I only said what was true, and I told you that I didn't mean any harm by those remarks. So, can you please stop making this into a bigger deal than it needs to be?
Are you sure that you want to keep criticizing me for having my son later in age?
I don't understand. Why not? That's the reason for this conversation in the first place, isn't it?
Well, because I heard that your mother-in-law gave birth to your husband when she was even older than I am now.
What are you talking about? What does that have to do with what we're discussing? Don't bring up something that's totally unrelated to this.
It's absolutely related to what we're talking about. You've been insulting me for having my son in my 40s this entire time. So essentially, you're also insulting your mother-in-law for the same reason as well. I'm sure she'll be shocked to find out that you think so poorly of people having children later in age. I mean, her own daughter-in-law insulting her like that?
Stop! I never said that. You better not say anything about this to my husband. Besides, I wasn't bad-mouthing my mother-in-law. You're just trying to put words in my mouth.
Is that so? Because you seem pretty desperate to redeem yourself. I'd like to know what sort of man would keep loving someone with such a bad character.
I told you that this was just a joke. Maybe it got a bit out of hand, so I'm sorry, okay? But please, don't tell my husband about any of this.
It's too late now. I've already informed him of all the insults and hurtful comments that you made about me.
What? Why would you do something like that behind my back?
Your husband knows firsthand just how much his own mother struggled being an older mom, so he was quite shocked that you would make such offensive comments.
I can't believe that you went directly to him without my permission. This has nothing to do with him. I can probably sue you for this.
Go ahead, be my guest. But let me tell you that it'll just be a waste of time because you'll just end up losing the case.
What? How can you be so sure?
I guess someone as naive as you would benefit from learning a lesson or two about how society works, even at the price of losing face. And it's probably better now than later. It's pretty obvious from our conversation that you lack any sort of common sense, but perhaps it's something that you can eventually acquire as you learn to survive on your own.
What do you mean, on my own?
Well, as you can imagine, your husband was quite displeased when he learned what you'd been up to. Oh, and I also mentioned to him what I heard from someone else the other day, and it looks like he's completely fed up with your behavior and has lost all affection towards you.
What are you talking about?
I heard that you were bragging about some young guy that you met at the bar and how you were basically his sugar mama. But where exactly are you getting the money to provide for your lover?
How do you even know about that?
The mommy network spreads wide and far. You never know who's watching or who's connected to someone you know. I know that you take pride in being a young mom, married to a wealthy man, and living a carefree life. And there's nothing wrong with that, if that's what you find purpose in. But because of your unthoughtful behavior, you've lost everything that gave your life any meaning.
Huh? What do you mean by that?
Well, everyone is going to be old at some point, including yourself. So insulting someone for their age is just pointless. And as far as I understand, you've never worked a single day in your life, so you probably don't know what it means to survive in the real world. And on top of everything else, if your family ends up deserting you because of this incident, what else is left for you?
Wait, let's just calm down a bit, okay? Linda, please, I was wrong about everything, and I understand that now.
It took you long enough to realize, but you've just turned a blind eye to your own faults the entire time.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But whatever, if that's what you think, then fine. It's just that I couldn't believe you really were my husband's employer, but now I know that's true. And I realize that some of my comments may have been a bit offensive, especially towards someone in your position. I know that I was behaving inappropriately and that I made a huge mistake. But would it hurt you to forgive me now? I'll apologize for everything I've done.
After all this time, don't you think it's a bit too late?
And I'm sure my husband will understand as long as you can explain to him that this was all a big misunderstanding. So you can do me that favor, right? And especially if it comes directly from you. I'm sure my husband will be more willing to understand the situation, since you're his boss and everything.
And why exactly do I need to explain anything to your husband? I don't owe you any kind of favors as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't even consider us as friends. We just so happen to have children who are classmates, and that's about the only thing we have in common. You're nothing more than an acquaintance, and a very rude one at that.
There's no need to be so disrespectful. Like you said, we're both mothers with children who are the same age. That makes us equal to one another, right?
Sure, and so what?
Well, wouldn't it be better if we continue to get along with one another, since we're going to be acquainted with each other as long as our kids are still in school?
What do you mean, continue to get along? Did we ever used to get along before any of this? I surely didn't think so. So this might just be another one of your misunderstandings.
Don't say that! If you just give me another chance, you'll see that I'm a completely different person now.
Wow, so you're saying that you've turned over a new leaf in just a matter of the past 30 minutes or so? That's pretty amazing. Or rather, that you must have such a simple life that you can become reborn so easily.
Who cares about the specific details? I'm serious about becoming a proper adult now. And I promise that I'll think before I act or say something, so I don't do anything inappropriate from now on. You know what they say, that you should always listen to what your elders say.
Elders. I hope you don't mean to use that term towards me. Either way, I'm just glad that I won't have to hear any of your insulting comments from now on, and I hope that you're able to make something of yourself one day.
Wait, you're not just gonna betray me like this, are you? Don't you see that I need your help right now? Are you just gonna leave me to fend for myself? But you'll at least talk to my husband to smooth things over with him though, right?
No way. I don't see any reason I have to, and it's just a waste of my time.
What? That's not fair.
What you're asking of me is to lie to your husband, which I absolutely refuse to do for your sake. It's about time you face the harsh reality of this situation, and perhaps you'll even learn a lesson or two about the proper demeanor of a mature adult.
How could you say something like that?
Well, what about all the insults you made to my face? Don't you think that's a much bigger offense than what I just said? This is just karma coming back to bite you. And now it's your turn to be on the receiving end of all the insults and negative comments. Anyways, I'm pretty certain that it's not going to be all smooth sailing from now on. But you'll learn to manage somehow, because you're young. And that's probably the only thing you have left going for you, right? Michaela tried to talk Linda out of attending the children's open house because of her advanced age, and going so far as saying that she smelled like old people. Unfortunately, she realized too late that Michaela was actually her husband's employer, and that she was a very successful businesswoman. So, of course, she was in an absolute panic that her husband's career depended a great deal on Linda's authority. And out of the blue, she changed her attitude to try and get on good terms with Linda. Of course, Linda wasn't foolish enough to fall for any of Michaela's games and wouldn't even give her the time of day to redeem herself. In addition, it was true that Michaela's mother-in-law had also given birth later in age, which was a fact that she had known all along. But when her husband found out that she'd been insulting Linda for being an older mom, he took it more personally because his own mother was at one time in the same situation. And in fact, Michaela's rude comments hit a bit too close to home, and he immediately filed for divorce after kicking her out of their home first. Then she was ordered to pay back all the money she spent on her young lover out of her own pocket, and not only that, she had to pay compensation for damages. And on top of everything else, she lost custody of her son, so she had no choice but to start working to avoid drowning in debt and pay for child support. However, with no work experience and limited educational background, she was unable to find any employer that would hire her full-time. In the end, she was working several part-time jobs and barely getting by, desperate every month just to make her debt repayments. As a matter of fact, when one of her coworkers, who was a high schooler, started insulting her because of her age and lack of skill, she was finally able to understand how truly horrible her comments about Linda were. If only she'd been able to realize this sooner. But for now, Michaela seems to have nothing worth hoping for a better life. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to see more content.